Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Check the Post for Husker Nation, brought to you by Nebraska Spine Hospital. Today I have a special guest with me. He's a former black shirt, a former walk-on, a former two-time All-American, and two-time national champion with the Huskers as well. Mr. Jared Tomich, how you doing, my friend?
I am great. Good morning.
It is a good morning. It's supposed to be some crazy weather coming through here pretty soon, but we'll see what happens. Of course, at the time we're recording this, it's supposed to be crazy weather, but I'm not sure when the interview will go out. But nonetheless, talk to me about originally being a walk-on and what the walk-on program means to you, and also the importance of it to the Husker football program as well.
Yeah, the walk-on program obviously is incredibly near and dear to my heart, because that was the only way that I was able to get the opportunity to play and to be a part of such an incredible program and organization. And for kids that are coming out of high school, it has a different path. Not every kid has that opportunity to really click in high school in a sense of getting good grades, seen by the right people, playing in those big games. So the walk-on program, I think for kids like me that were out of state, was a big deal. That opportunity when you have a kid that has that grit, that has that passion, but just hasn't gotten either. And it might even be a maturity thing. They haven't gotten to that point, with school and things where they take it as seriously as they should. For me, that's probably where that was. And so when I got that opportunity and was asked, and came on as a walk-on, and that it was kind of a light switch that made everything real all of a sudden, and to kind of have that opportunity. Was really just a great experience, and I think the other thing for the walk-on program was it built such a great culture at school with the kids from Nebraska. Yep. I learned about Nebraska football from the kids from Nebraska, and a great deal of them were walk-ons, and that was really a part of the backbone of the team.
So this is kind of a two-part question. Now, you obviously made great improvements from the time you walked in the Husker football building to years later when you left as a second-round draft pick of the Saints. Now, you were a Lifter of the Year finalist in '95. You were a Lifter of the Year award winner in '96. So maybe it was the weight room, maybe it was something else. But what was the biggest thing to help you make those improvements? And also, sometimes it's more challenging if you're not originally on scholarship. What was the biggest key to getting noticed by the coaches as well?
The weight room was a big part of my, of my success. The mottos that I kind of, live by was, I was not a jealous kid. I was usually one of the shorter kids on the D line. And so the only thing, I couldn't control, lots of things that you can't control. For me, the one thing that I could control was how hard I worked. And that was in the weight room, it was on the field. So it was, just I had the mentality that nobody was going to outwork me, or at least I was going to try to outwork everybody as I could. And I took that into the league as well. So for me, that was, that was a big part of my success, and how I just kind of kept my nose to the grindstone and kept pushing and pushing. I can remember when I had that opportunity, when that light kind of got that there's something there, and it was the spring game. The spring game. A lot of guys, they kind of whine or complain about the spring game. It's a lot of hard practices, and you're going through, some of that stuff, especially for the older guys. But you're honing in on your skills. But it is the number one for a young player to be seen and get noticed. And that's when I got noticed. And I can remember even after the spring game, and in the practice, talking with coach, and all of a sudden, they saw something there. I had a great spring game. And when I was going into my second year, and that really was, I felt like that door cracked open a little bit, that I could just pull right through it, and really work on being, a decking teamers had gold shirts, and then trying to ultimately get to that black shirt.
Now, obviously, the Huskers missed spring ball last year because of COVID, and spring ball is undoubtedly very important. I'm curious about, and obviously the weight room's important, but in your opinion, all right, how big of a role do you actually think that plays in today's college football? And I think it's huge. I have a guess as to what your answer is going to be, but here's why I'm asking, because and obviously having talent when you walk in the door is important, and recruiting rankings, they're connected to success. I feel like a good amount of people basically just say if you recruit really well, that's kind of all that matters, and that's how you're going to be successful. And there is a connection there to a certain degree. I feel a little bit differently. I'm going to guess as to what your answer is, but I'll ask you, how big of a role do you still feel the weight room plays in college football today?
I think it's giant. I think it's a giant role. I also think a couple of keys there. And when you say weight room, it's not just the lifting and your explosiveness and your strength and your accessibility, but then it's also working with strength comes speed, and on your footwork. It's working on that all of those things that what makes you that incrementally better day by day, and it's then we're all getting better together. And I think that you build a lot of camaraderie in the locker room. In the locker room, but in the weight room also. In the office, and that's where most of your camaraderie and your grown-ups from. And at the end of the day, we won games because we were usually able to outwork people in the fourth quarter. We practically played, and we worked really, really hard, and the old adage, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that was me. That was a team. That was a lot of the players that we had. We never thought that we were the most talented group of kids, and by far, most of us thought we were a lot of scrubs that just kind of pulled it together. Had just a great cohesiveness and just an incredible coaching staff there at the right time. So I think it's one of the keys. I kind of feel like you do that has fallen off, and they rely more just on what they think of kids' talent or like potential is going to be. But it really, it was the same thing in the NFL. Guys would come in every year into camp. When you bring 110 guys into camp, there was some guys every year that would come in that they're D linemen. I'm like, that guy's a monster. Is he going to beat me out of my? He just looks like a monster. Looks like a monster. And then you start to see his work ethic, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good. We'll be all right here.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those as well. Now, I'm curious. I'm sure you watch Husker football to this day. So what do you see from the Huskers defense? They were improved last year, played better, still have more improvements to make. So what have you seen that they're doing well, they're getting better at, and what do you see that they need to continue to improve on the most?
Well, you can see they're playing better. You can see they're getting, the cohesiveness is getting there. You can see that the culture is getting there. That they're how they're playing, and just one of the things that I really look at, guys reacting after the plays. Whether they're making good plays or it wasn't a good play, how do they react? How are those guys reacting? Are they with each other? Are they celebrating alone? And then if somebody makes a mistake, are 3, 4, 5 going over there and helping him brush that off?
Yeah.
Because you only have 20 20, 30 seconds to brush that off and get right back after it.
Yep.
And you I both know that's not a whole lot of time to clear your mind if you've made a big mistake.
Yep. Very true.
So I'd say with I think they're getting a lot better. And again, those things take time. I was very fortunate because I had a great culture. That's what was because of all those seniors and juniors before us who taught us the culture and who really instilled winning in us that created the teams that I was a part of. And so between culture, so you've got to have that culture strong for a couple of years, to really be kind of taken off. And I'm very excited about this season. I think, and that this can be they're the top of the hill.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So I'm curious, and actually I kind of have an idea because we're friends on Facebook, but tell the fine folks at home, what are you up to these days? I know you're living the farm life. I know you're starting to do Facebook Live videos. So talk to them a little bit about what you're up to these days, the Facebook Lives, farm life, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and just enjoying life. My wife and I are fortunate to have two boys, 5, and we bought a farm a little less than 5 years ago, and we have a little hobby. I say, little, it's getting there more and more. We raise Scottish Highland cattle, which are the long-haired, longhorn cattle, and which are just, they're fun. They're a little bit smaller and about 35 of them right now. And then we raise some hogs, we raise some sheep, and just love kind of having and having the farm life, and the boys love it, and we fully embrace it. It's fun to to kind of be able to share that too. And then for the past 2 years, I myself, when I had a kind of a health breakthrough and got on a great program, and then in that so afterwards, and so I have been a health and life coach for about 2 years now, and just really enjoy helping folks, inspiring folks to better health, helping them get to good places, helping them to have a healthy body, healthy mind, especially in the adverse world that we kind of live in now, and the craziness of our health and our happiness. I think is more important than ever to really be something that we're working towards every day, and to understand what your why is and what your goals are is super important. And so to be a coach for folks and doing that is super fulfilling for me.
Well, folks, if you get a chance, check out Jared on Facebook. He's posting. They've had a lot of young animals born recently. He's doing the Facebook Lives where he's talking about fitness. He does a great job there. He's lived it himself, as he mentioned. So check all that stuff out. It's really good stuff, really good content. And I want to thank you for joining me, Jared.
Oh, thank you for having me. Anytime.
All right, man. And you folks have a great week. Until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. And always remember,
throw it in bones.
Thanks again to our sponsor, Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's your spine, you do not want to mess around, and experience matters. That's why you can trust the experts at Nebraska Spine Hospital, the region's only spine-specific hospital. They are the best at what they do.